Today's episode is brought to you by Art House, the first Black-owned film lab in the city of Los Angeles. All my photography homies love Art House because they specialize in C41, black and white, E6, and ECN2 processing for both 35mm and medium format film, all while using a custom-built cinema scanner to get you those stunning movie quality stills. So go pick up and drop off a roll at their new location in Chinatown and check them out at arthousefilmlab.com or arthousefilmlab on IG and tell them we sent you. Hi, welcome back to Photographer Life Check. I'm your host, Chrissy, and I have my very good homegirl, Mckayla Chandler, with us.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here.
Happy to have you, dear.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we jump in, I did want to read a little bit of your bio that I saw because I really loved it.
Okay.
And I think it also informs what I really want to talk to you about today, which is something that I'm personally always inspired by, but then I really saw in the work that you particularly do.
Okay.
So Mckayla Chandler is an interdisciplinary artist from Minneapolis, Minnesota, living and working in LA. Deeply inspired by her family photo albums that documented her own growth and experience, Chandler builds on this foundation, striving to create contemporary art that threads a multitude of stories. Her work combines traditional portraiture, editorial, and archival family images. She is dedicated to exploring new perspectives through a multitude of mediums and expanding boundaries to create powerful and emotive imagery. Wow, girl, you sound so fucking cool. I love your bio so much because, like I said, I am very deeply inspired by and like constantly in thought about family archives.
Yeah.
So I was really hoping we could do like a deep dive on family archiving and archiving in general.
Yeah.
And especially through your work. So
Absolutely.
to get us started, the themes that stand out to me in terms of archiving in your own work are hair and family in particular. And they do feel like the same and separate. Like they feel like they like jump into the same bucket and live in their own lives.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start off with your personal photo series, Mo Better. Can you let us know a little bit about that? And also why you named it Mo Better? Because that's something I could not find, why you named it that.
Wow. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll start with that. So my mom's name is Moncherie.
Oh, pretty.
And my dad calls her Mobetta. I know.
That is so
sweet.
Oh my God. While you talk about it, I'm going to show your website real quick so people can see the photo series.
Yeah, Mobetta from like Mobetta Blues, but that is what my dad calls my mom. And the project named after my mom is about all these intricate braiding styles, and there's a couple different sectors, so I'll try to like not go on a tangent about it. But essentially in 2020, I was home and I found my mom's braid book where she would braid a bunch of like, me and my sister's hair and kids in the neighborhood. And she took photographs on instant cameras and printed them out and put them in, like old photo style books. And when I found it, I realized how much of a piece of art it was and how I didn't necessarily at that time see my mom as an artist. She's always been a teacher in my life. And I took that opportunity sort of to expand on something that she had made, and I wanted to start documenting intricate braiding styles in different places in the U.S., but then just also talk about how she got into it. So mom also is not like a braider, but she braids, and she had to do that to make money. Yeah. And it begged the question about, how much necessity breeds creativity and the community, in the Black community, and how much of that creativity often gets like stifled by, life happenings. My mom had 4 kids, five total before at that time. Yeah. And I'm sure that could have been something that she pursued, but she's also super multifaceted, and I just kind of grew up in art around her. So I was like, yeah, there's so many things to unpack there. These braiding styles that she did, that she came up with, and like straight from the dome, You know me? And
Yeah.
also many of them are like East African braiding styles, and there was this like natural thread through like the diaspora on the things that she did. So yeah, the project is like incomplete, like a whole exploration of a couple different things with archiving, stressing the importance of archiving. Had she not made that, I would not have made this. And then also
Mm-hmm.
just like the interweavings of like culture and how they expand through time, and expanding on something that my mom made, the necessity of breeding creativity and how much that happens in the household. So there's like a lot of a couple of different pieces going into that, but yeah, largely bred from like the family archive.
Do you think she thought about it as archiving in real time? No,
100%.
like you think she was just like documenting, like how you said, the styles that she was creating for when she
Yeah.
needed to use it as a
hmm
reference.
hmm
Have you talked to her about that, like while you were creating the series?
Uh, yeah, but my parents are like they're like archivists by nature. Like I have such an expansive um uh like I guess archive of imagery of me and my sisters growing up. It is ridiculous. Most things, like more than any family like that I've came across. I'm not kidding. Like buckets and buckets and buckets. And my mom, our family photo album is like sectioned off by sibling. Every
Oh, so
single
it's organized.
she's
I know
insane.
that's right.
Like when she's doing it, she's just like, no, it's memorabilia, and like, and she
Yeah.
likes to take photographs and whatever. But I'm like, I am who I am because of what they just naturally did.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Thinking about how you said it's just innate. Like most of the time, I think in my own family archive or other people's that I've witnessed and like got the chance to go through, I don't know that they were thinking like we need to save this and cherish this all the
hmm
time for
Yeah,
like another generation. And instead
yeah,
that is like, this is memorabilia. Like I just want to remember it, which is
yeah,
fine.
mm
But then the way that it grows once generations keep going is really beautiful.
yeah,
Um, Also, not to plagiarize you, I did use archiving in real time because of a quote on your website, which I love.
yeah,
You said Chandler sees her project as a work of archiving in real time, and I thought that was like a really beautiful way to put it. But it also speaks to what we were just talking about. The rest of your quote is there's so much erasure that happens, especially in the Black community, especially being in America. One way to preserve this history is to just make sure you're taking those photos and understanding the importance of being able to pass these things down.
hmm
That in particular makes me think about an experience that I've had, and like I feel like I hear a lot about Black Americans in particular, where somebody sold their grandma house and now the family no longer owns this little plot of land in like the
yeah,
city that everybody was in,
yeah,
or like the storage unit that everyone's like archival, like the pictures, your great auntie who passed away, like her stuff that was like stored in there,
yeah,
they could no longer afford it, so it just got lost and sold in auction or something like
yeah,
that. Like I know so many people that have experienced that, and once it was time for us to be adults, our generation to become adults, we didn't even get the opportunity to manage these things that are like really important to our family histories.
hmm
um when in making this project or at any other time,
hmm
are you having those conversations with your family about like what you want to inherit? Are they asking you if you want to inherit anything? Are you taking that
Oh, I'm
responsibility?
totally taking it. Yeah. Like my parents fully know that I'm buying that house. The house that
Oh,
that I
period.
I'm like they know. They know me as like the keeper of all things. So and I talked to my nana about it as well. When I go to her house and I'm going through her buckets of photographs and some of them are sticking together and she's not taking care of them, I'm like, Nana, listen, we need to talk about this. Like,
Yeah.
and I have these conversations with them, and a lot of those conversations inform my work and inform my thought about like, okay, archiving in real time is so important. And to your points about family sort of like losing all of this memorabilia and the things that don't get passed down because maybe we're just not thinking about it that way, or just sometimes things get lost. It also happens when you are moving, like I think
Yeah.
that either it's from moving or it's from displacement and totality, and it's just about what you can afford to bring with you. And sometimes that
Yeah.
stuff is just not that important. Like the photographs get left behind, the clothes get left behind. I have photographs, but my parents, I mean, man, pure like 90s couple, like Coochie down, Pelly Pill, like had the flyest clothes, FUBU, everything. Mom, wear
Yes.
these clothes. And they're like, girl, I don't know. We didn't save those things. We wasn't thinking about having kids and passing that down to y'all. So it does seem like something that's like, I don't want to say it's like starting in this generation, like us sort of thinking about that, but they were purely on just life, surviving,
Yeah.
going from place to place. I'm like super impressed that they even held these images for so long, um, of like us. And my nana has images from I don't know from how long ago, which is why I feel like it's just such sort of an embedded thing. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
for sure telling them like at this point, give it to me. Like I'm taking it. It's mine. I will preserve it. Like I want to take the images now and think of that in the same way.
That's so tight. Okay, so you taking the images, you taking the house, and you taking some clothes?
I'm taking everything. Literally, I'm
Period.
taking everything. I'm full on like, yes, this is I gotta figure out how I'm gonna store it. If it's storage unit
Honestly.
or if it's like what that comes to. I have no idea. I'm even sad. I don't have my like senior year prom dress. I gave it to a friend. I don't have it, and now I'm like, damn.
I kept mine for some years and then eventually I also gave mine away. I was like, I'm not wearing this no more. But like, how dreamy would it have been to have that right now?
Yeah.
Or for my niece who will be
I
going
was
to
just gonna say.
prom. But I don't know, she might not like that vibe. No. Which is
We're just putting it on her like we're just
right. Like, you're going to wear this.
TT wore this dress.
Which is probably what they think about, I think, where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like back in the day, they didn't assume that like Coogee would come back or that like we might think it
Wow.
would still fly.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because I see online all the time, like somebody inherited their grandma, their auntie, something closet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a ton of vintage fly
Yes,
shit.
just
And
like
I'm like, oh my God, this is so stunning. And I feel like there's another layer of archiving that goes in that where it's like, not only do I have a piece of a lost loved one, but like I got a little bit of her personality here. Like I'm learning something about her, even if we
mm-hmm.
never talked about it personally. And I think that's so
Can
romantic.
I say something? Okay. So I've been thinking a lot about this recently. This necklace that I
Yeah.
bought is my grandmother's necklace. May she rest in peace.
Yes.
And I was talking to my nana, she's alive, my mom's mom, about I was teaching her about Harry Potter and the idea of a Horcrux. Do you know?
Okay.
Do you know about
Yeah.
the Horcrux? Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone that doesn't know the idea of a Horcrux, it's basically this in Harry Potter, like a diabolical way that this like really, really bad man split his soul into 7 pieces and hid them in inanimate things. And one thing that he hid it in, aside from that, was Harry Potter. And I was talking to my nana about how as long as those like 4 cruxes, all 7 of them are undamaged, and yeah, undamaged or alive in Harry's sense, that person lives on forever. And I was like, so much of that is how I feel about jewelry that gets passed down. And also
Mm-hmm.
like in the film, if anybody was wearing this Horcrux, they take on sort of like the spirit of he was a terrible guy, but
All
like
right.
it's in the spirit of that person as well. And it acts as almost like an armor, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
these necklaces that we wear and jewelry become like our good luck charms, and like we wear it to like feel
And
the person,
embody.
you know what I mean, and like embody who they are. And in a way we become a Horcrux. And I was telling my nana, like, as long as we're
Oh,
here, as long as we keep, building and family keeps growing, we will always live through you. Always.
that was so.
I'm such a sentimental gal.
I love it. Wait, what's your sign?
I'm an Aries.
Oh, true, true, true. Yeah, I
It's
feel like
my
we talked about
Scorpio
that
moon,
before.
girl. It's my Scorpio.
Oh, same. That's why we here. My same, my same.
Mhm.
Okay. So I feel that what you just said kind of took me in a different direction
Mhm.
than what I was originally thinking because just yesterday I was talking to one of my elders about the difference between, or not even the difference, but like the communication between your spiritual self and your physical self.
Mhm.
And I feel like what you just said is kind of like almost challenging this idea
Mhm.
because you're like, as long as I am here, like I am embodying you. And where we concluded yesterday in my conversation was that like, as long as your spirit is around, you
Mhm.
will embody.
Yeah.
And that like you don't need a physical vessel. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like lean either way. I think I just wanted to note that that was like a beautiful perspective to add on to it.
Yeah. And also you're very true about, I mean, you're very right about that. My Nana is like, I mean, I feel like we're all the same way. As long as spirit like lives on, it doesn't have to be like in this physical house. And maybe that's what I meant in a way too. Like as long as it almost feels like there has to be an awareness, like that there's this pass through also, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know. So
very
interesting.
spiritual, yeah.
Life is weird, bro.
Yeah.
So back to this archiving thing. What was interesting to me about Mobetta also was the fact that like this kind of feels like publicly archiving or
Mm.
just like sharing your own personal archive with the public.
Mhm.
And I was curious, like, did that feel a kind of way? Did it feel very intimate? Did it feel completely normal? Like, how is that process for you?
It definitely made me feel away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, when I first got into photography, it was always like from a kid to when I thought of it as like a career, it was always me taking photographs of like family, friends,
Mm-hmm.
people, whatever. And then when I got into photography as a career, it felt very much separate from that. Like I felt like that was like the amateur shit. Sorry, can I curse? Okay.
Yeah,
It felt
absolutely.
like
Girl.
it felt like that was the amateur shit, and I was getting into like, okay, models and like all this and that, and
Yeah.
life happens the way it does, and everything came back full circle, and now it's about family again. And I showed some work at photo fairs last year with For Freedoms in New York, and that was the first time that I showed work of my family that I knew was going to get sold, and I felt so
Mm.
weird about it. I was just like, I don't know. I also had to consider all these questions that I never really had to think about before getting into a contemporary art space and in those like spaces of like fairs and stuff, because it does get sold. And like, I was like, okay, what kind of artist do I want to be? Honestly, how
Yeah.
many things do I actually want to sell? And I was talking to, someone from the Ford Freedom team, and I was like, this is not for sale. It's going to my mom's house. Like,
Hello. Like,
oh, for real. Yeah. Same thing. I have this like piece of my mom braiding my hair. This is in this frame, whatever. And
is
that
that
I
the
showed
black
in
and white
another
one?
show, the black and white one.
I'll
Yeah.
pull that one up again while you talk.
Okay. I have that. It's in my studio right now, but I also showed that. I showed that at Freeze earlier this year, and I had to put a price on that. And I was like, I did it because, it was Freeze, but I was just like, I hope no one inquires about this. I only have one right now. And it's going, like, this one is not for sale. It's going to my mom's crib. Like, I want them to
Yeah.
know if they buy it, it's going to be a print. It's not going to be in
The
this way. But
original. Yeah.
yeah, it feels strange. Like, I wouldn't mind if it got acquired for like, I don't even want to say a collection. Maybe if it was like a museum or something, because I want it to be on display, if anything. But it feels odd having someone buy something so like intimate and personal to me.
Yeah. Oh my
I don't
God. I
know.
remember like having those same feelings. My first solo gallery was also like a personal photo series. I
Yeah.
photographed my family.
Uh-huh.
And initially, I was not thinking about like somebody selling this piece until I actually got into the gallery and we're talking. And I'm like, wait, somebody gonna have a picture of my niece on the
Right on the
wall
wall, you're like, what?
of my grandma? What? and it just like was not computing at first. But like you said, I think it does challenge us to think about like what kind of artist we want to be. I think it would be really cool if there was like I don't know, like an academic I really looked up to that was beginning a series
Hmm.
in a museum
Right.
about Black family archives or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that got acquired,
Mm-hmm.
part of like a group, not
Yeah.
necessarily showing, but like a collection
No,
of
I know
photos or
what you
something like
mean.
that. Like
Yeah.
that could be cool. And I could see like something like this living there. But it does feel so deeply intimate. But like, what is art if it isn't
It
intimate?
really is. It really is. And funny thing about this photograph is that like I took this photo and this
Mm-hmm.
was for Google Image Equity Fellowship that I got. And I took it maybe like a month or 2 months before the show, and I didn't show my mom anything. She did not see that photo until it was up at the show. And like they were, it was on buses in New York, and they were like, we pasted everywhere on the streets. And my mom is like, she comes from a Southern household. My Nana is from, the South, and from Alabama. And
My nana
she's
from Alabama
like,
too.
this is her just like in her room in her nightgown, but literally reading glasses on, like braiding my hair so that I could take these photos and she could do this freestyle and get it over with. So like I was like almost throwing up thinking about her, like seeing herself in such this intimate way, and everybody else seeing it
Mm-hmm.
too. I was like so scared she was gonna be like, now why the hell would you have me looking like this all over New York, in the show? And I
Yeah.
was like on the phone with her before she got to New York, and I was like, Mom, can I just tell you what it looks like? Like, I just want to show you. And she really calmed me down, and she was like, baby, this is your art. This is your world. Like, I trust the way that you capture me. Like, please do not freak yourself out. I was like, seriously about to throw up. I was like, oh my God.
That's so kind. Girl, my mama would not be that kind. She'd be like, girl, do not blow up this photo of me in my nightgown.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I was like, please give me your blessing.
That's beautiful. And are these the originals then? These
Yes,
look
these
like,
are all the ones that my mom did.
yes, come
Yeah. Yeah,
on.
the little heart in the corner, that's my head.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, little baby Mckayla.
Yeah. And like the other ones are like my sisters, and then it's two girls in the neighborhood and my dad.
Which your mama was going crazy.
Yeah, that's my sister. Yeah.
That?
And you know what? So imagine me opening this up in 2020, and I've seen this so many times, but as
Right.
I'm figuring out who I am as an artist and I'm getting more into like exploring archival imagery and like my work and like what that means, I was looking at this like, Mom, this is crazy.
Art.
Like,
Literal
this is
art.
insane. And she's, the one in the top right corner, she said she called those the Alicia Keys braids. Because,
Oh,
Alicia
true.
was rocking, all
Yeah.
these
And
intricate
she
braids.
stayed with the one that went forward like
Exactly,
that.
forward. She just called them Alicia Keys, but everything else was just freestyles. Like,
Nah, she ate it up.
she's so sick. She's so
Yeah.
sick.
That's another thing too. I think I I would love your opinion on this because sometimes I feel like I struggle and sometimes I'm like, this is so beautiful that we get to see ourselves.
Yeah.
I think about the people, particularly my elders in my life, who did not consider themselves artists. But then we look at their work like this and we're like, you're obviously an artist. Like this isn't just straight backs, babes. Like you
Yeah.
went crazy. And then something like what you then turn it into is now in a gallery on exhibit. Now you're making prints. You're turning into like, I'm using air quotes to make it like official. Like now
Yeah.
this is art.
Yeah.
And the part where I struggle with is like, as a consumer, I want to see you do that. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. It's inspiring me to think about my archive in different ways or like the people in my life in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing that I don't like about it is that like we can't control who the audience is.
Yeah.
So now other people are viewing this and taking like extracting something almost instead of being inspired. They're like, oh, this is what's hot now. Let me extract this and try to recreate something. And it just feels icky. And so like I feel like I'm in a constant battle in my head sometimes about like how much of our particular like family history, like our culture, the things we do, say, the art of it all, like how much of that is shareable for real.
Mm. You know, when I was thinking about this project, I was like, the braids in general are is definitely something that has been what's the word I'm looking for? Um
Maybe, I don't know, like co-opted.
yeah, right. But intricate braids like this, I wish you would try. Like
I ain't seen
be
them,
so
you
fucking
know?
like I was just like, this is just not something that can be that can be stolen. Like this is so in it's such a specific like it's like tribal wear. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's so I had that thought for a brief second about this,
Hmm.
but I was like, if anybody in like the Black communities or anything like this is hard. This is fire. Like, I implore you, And I worked with some amazing braiders, some amazing braiders on this, like in Chicago, in New York, New
Hey.
Orleans, like in LA. Incredible, truly. And it's just as much about my mom's story as it is about theirs as well. And like them bringing it back or like, their own craft and creativity with some of these freestyles because they're like insane. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think in general, like you said, you just can't really control how someone takes your work and digests it and how it inspires. And you hope that if anything comes about it, it's in a very tasteful way. But um I think what's meant for you is meant for you, and that can be a part of a larger conversation if that does happen. But I don't want to think anything about that shit. Like
True. Do you think your work is like naturally archiving other people's work then?
yeah,
Like
totally.
this person in the photo, like this is now a part of their archive.
Yeah, these are my little cousins.
Oh, hey, little cousins. Oh,
Yeah.
in Chicago. Hey.
Yeah, in Chicago. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, also in the braiders too. I mean, like this braider,
Right.
her name is Rose. She's in New York and like totally a part of her archive for sure. And she does amazing like cyanotypes of her braids as well and puts them like on fabrics and
Ooh.
like t-shirts and stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, it makes me think about like during this time that I was in the fellowship, my mentor was Lyle Ashton Harris,
Hmm.
and he has this book called I Shall Judge Nothing That Occurs Today. Oh, my phone's dead. Today I shall judge nothing that occurs, something like that. And he has like all of these images of like him and these like super prominent like writers and photographers, them just kind of like sort of hanging out and back in the day, not even knowing the like impact they would have on like the world and with like art. And I sort of think of it that way. It's like these things that eventually turn into like history, right? And
Yeah.
I try not to think about it too much because then it just like it's almost daunting in a way. But this is like sort of encapsulating like a single truth that becomes a universal truth
Mm.
after it goes into like the archive because it's the documents of like my own perspective of this time. So yeah, I mean, I guess all encompassing like that includes other people that I'm taking photographs of, work that's included in that, just to kind of show
Yeah.
the breadth of like where I'm at right now. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Now that I think about it, in 10, 20 years, the work that you even do with a company, if it's one that's like super impactful or not, like it's a part of their archive. And maybe in 20, 30 years, the way that like, I feel like folks now are looking at like, oh, look at this graphic design in 1995
yeah.
that like maybe your image gets pulled up in the history of place any
Oh
brand
my God,
name,
that'd be so cool.
Like how
And imagine
crazy.
there's so much work, honestly, that like we're doing today that we're not even gonna think is gonna get pulled up, you know?
Right.
I, it
Ooh.
happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Consider your digital footprint, y'all.
Consider, seriously consider, and like, and saying that, just be the most authentic person that you can be in your work, because it becomes
Yeah.
someone else's truth, like aside from your own.
Okay, speaking of someone else's truth, only partially. I feel like your portrait work outside of this photo series naturally also feels like photo album
Mm.
photos. You know, they just feel so familiar and homey, and that makes me particularly very happy because I call myself a photo album kid. I feel like that was my personal entryway into photography
Yeah.
and the way that I thought about it and saw it. So your imagery just gives me that like sense of
Mm.
comfort. Do you think that was like intentional, or do you feel like this is a subconscious thing, or would you like define it some other kind of way?
Um, hmm. I think it's almost subconscious. I think it's a mix between like subconscious and like intentional because subconsciously, like that's kind of how I started in photography. Is very like documentary, friends, family, like I said, and I consume my photo album, my family photo album so much. I think it just like
Yeah.
naturally becomes the breath of like how I work. But I also think of like every photograph I'm taking as a portrait. Like when I talk to people, I'm always like, think of this being the timestamp of who you are at this time for your like future self, family, whatever. So I'm like intentionally like, this is you right now. Be yourself, like,
Yeah.
and however you are and like whatever you're feeling, wear it. Whoever you are, like I don't care what you wear. It's not about like any of that. And it probably feels that way because and taking these portraits is such a conversation that like happens and like a natural flow and I'm just
Today's episode is brought to you by Art House, the first Black-owned film lab in the city of Los Angeles. All my photography homies love Art House because they specialize in C41, black and white, E6, and ECN2 processing for both 35 millimeter and medium format film, all while using a custom-built cinema scanner to get you those stunning movie quality stills. So go pick up and drop off a roll at their new location in Chinatown and check them out at arthousefilmlab.com or arthousefilmlab on IG and tell them we sent you. It's okay. I'm so proud. Our first technical difficulty. We're a real podcast. Oh
yeah.
my God.
Real things are
Um,
happening.
Truly. So
Oh,
sorry for folks who are listening. There was a little technical difficulty. I feel like we went a different place, but I think the last thing I asked you potentially was about if it was a subconscious or intentional um like idea or
yeah.
fallout
Yeah. Oh,
from
and I
like
was saying, I was like, there's this like conversation that's happening. Yes, that's what I was saying.
okay, yeah, okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was saying that when I shoot, yeah, I'm usually like having a conversation or I'm putting it also in the person's mind that this is like more of a, not like a, this is gonna get posted on Instagram and like everyone is got, like it's for them. It's more like, think of this for you
Yeah.
and for family and for your own personal archive. Like, don't think about it, doesn't even have to go there. You know what I mean? And I don't have to bring it there also if you don't want. But yeah, it does feel like it's sort of like a intentional thing, but also just it just comes up. It's just what I
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Which makes sense. I mean, that's your whole life. And I imagine you've probably been looking at your own archive your whole life type shit.
literally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My parents definitely had recordings of us on like VHS tape that they have no
Y'all still
idea
got
where
the
is that now.
VHS? Oh, I'm like, oh
My
my
mom's
God.
like, it's in the attic somewhere. I remember there being a video of like me and my sister, and there was like a green screen behind us of a bunch of like fish, and like I remember like stealing the mic from her and singing, and we were doing some type of
Oh,
karaoke thing. But yeah, I don't know where the heck the VHS tapes are.
damn. If your family still has any VHS tapes, or honestly, your normal like photo archive, I encourage everybody to digitize these things, put them on technology that we
Yeah.
use right now so
Mm-hmm.
that you can continue to have it. It feels impossible, but there are actually quite a few places that will digitize VHS
Mm-hmm.
or swap like your DVDs or CD-ROMs and put them on hard drive and stuff like that. One
All
that I'm
right.
actually thinking about, if you in LA, the Black Family Archive, they host
Yeah.
events at Black Image Center. They help digitize archives, and they also do like really cool other things. Like they will turn your family photos into like a coloring book and make all of your photos outline so that it can then be. It's like so genius. Shout out to India. She is, oh
I
my
was gonna
God,
say that's
so
India, right?
incredible. Yeah,
Oh my God, that's so
so
amazing.
incredible. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're not in LA, just look for stuff like that in your city. They are typically in major cities, but even like the little mom and
Yeah.
pop shops, the mom and pop photo shops can
Mm,
sometimes have these opportunities for you to hold
that's
on to
so
your family
sweet.
archives.
Yeah. Yeah, people get a little overwhelmed by their archive sometimes, and they're like, I don't
Yeah,
know what the heck to do with this, and they're like, there's so many photos to digitize, but yeah, I'm like, drop it off somewhere. They'll totally do it for you.
exactly. Get it done. Get it done. Save it
Yeah.
for your family.
Yeah.
Um,
Make them into a book.
right? Like
Close
how
read or
cute would
something.
it be? I have this idea. I guess I'll tell you off the recording because I haven't done it yet, but I have
Yeah.
this idea how I'm trying to like capture my own family archive that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So I'll tell
Yeah.
you that when we get
Please
off,
put a pin in that.
you know. But anyway, I want to pivot a little bit from the archive
Mm,
because I would
mm,
like to talk a little bit more about your personal artistry. I think from what I witnessed, you're an artist in many ways. One thing
mm.
that really stands out to me is the way you have displayed some work. One of my favorite ones, of course, was the sculptures.
Yes.
Mckayla has these gorgeous hand sculptures that was used to hold a portrait in exhibit, right?
Yeah.
They were so beautiful. They're so iconic. It was so stunning. And I was like, you really inspired me to look at different ways on how I can like frame my
Mm-hmm.
images. I want to know about like what other ways like you play in art. Do you have
Oof.
other sculptures? Can we buy a Mckayla
Mm.
sculpture? Like, what's up?
Okay. Okay. Couple different points. All right. One, so that came about. Remember how we were talking about like the kind of like weirdness of showing family work or like archive and
Mm-hmm.
people buying them. So when I did the show at photo fairs, we were thinking about I was playing around with printing on silk and different fabrics. And so I
Ooh,
landed on like, okay, I want to print this on silk. And that came from just like my thinking about like, I hold on to like everything, and sometimes things they fray, and
yeah,
they change over time, and they decompose and they take new form. And so like silk was sort of my way of like embodying that feeling of putting this like image that is so precious that I hold dear, but also knowing that over time it will fray and it will flow and it will change in some type of way. And so because I'm such a sentimental girl and I was like, I'm showing these like images of my cousins, I wanted to find a way that I could still hold on to them. And that's where the hands came.
oh,
And I was like, I want to cast
so
my
you can
hands. And when I tell
literally
you,
hold it.
girl, literally, like I came up with this idea maybe like 2 weeks before everything had to be in New York. And I was
Ooh,
like finishing. I had no idea how I was gonna put this up on the wall. It was just ridiculous. But anyway, I did it, and I was like, cool. And now it's a thing, and it's led me into like understanding why I want to preserve hands. I'm also
mm-hmm.
like over Christmas, I'm casting my nana's hands and my mom's hands, and eventually they're
Yes.
gonna hold prints of each other. And my great grandmother is still here, bless her heart. But I'm gonna cast her hands as well.
Oh my
So
God.
I think that my like exploration or my play really is just about like what I'm currently feeling and what medium best fits that. And it's
Yeah.
not even really a conscious choice. It kind of is just what comes out. And that's something that I'm still like learning and understanding because I feel like I'm a photographer, but times that I'm like not photographing, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
picking up a guitar? And why am I so obsessed with like music and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, casting and playing with my hands or whatever? But that's just kind of what the body needs at that point. It's whatever I'm feeling or exploring. It's like, that's my other form of like speaking. So I kind
Yeah.
of think of it, like that. And being an interdisciplinary artist is not for the weak.
Bruh.
Because so much of me wants to focus on one thing, but like I can't. That's just not the way. That's just not the way I'm like living. And it
Yeah.
can also get really expensive because why do I have so much shit in my studio? Like,
Bruh. I call them my side quests. I'll be like,
yeah,
I can't afford another one. Like,
yeah, but they all are the same thing. Do you know what I mean? They're
hmm
all the same thing. So I just let it happen. Um, but yeah, I've gotten into like casting. You saw. I also like I don't know. I like music. My dad grew up in music and he used to rap and manage and things of that
hey,
sort. And me and my sisters used to like rap as kids and write and all this
yeah.
stuff. And I just it's a part of me inherently as well. And
Wait,
a lot
where
of
can we
people
find some Mr. Chandler? We need to run it
the,
up on Spotify. Hold on.
listen, there is some like OG like dad's music on YouTube, which is like crazy.
Ah,
Underground, East Chicago, Indiana rap. It's there. Uh,
what's his?
it's yeah, it's a mixtape with like him and my cousin actually.
Mm-hmm.
Just fucking hilarious. I don't even know all about the music. I think it's called with Muzik. But
Of
if you
course,
look up
music.
Ski Baller, that's my cousin.
Ski baller,
Ski
go.
Baller. Skeeballa, Ski Baller. Yeah, bless his
Hey,
heart.
ski baller, we fuck with you. We
Ski Baller,
appreciate
he
it.
on
We finna run it
YouTube.
up.
Yeah, getting streams up like
I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it in the description.
that's so funny. Please do. It's kind of like all the things that I grew up around. Like if you ever see me in interior decor one day, it's because my mom switches up the house every season. Like
Yeah,
every time I go home, I'm like, was the door always blue? And is the living room yellow
iconic.
now? And where did this come from? It's like it's all things that I've been introduced to in some ways and from parents and grandparents and cousins and aunties and stuff that are an amalgamation of like what I am. So I pretty much get my hands on anything really.
I mean, clearly you come from an
Yeah.
artistic
That's
family.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing that I like truly like realize, but yeah, a lot of my inspiration comes from my 18,000 aunties. I have so many aunties. Um
Shout out to the
uncles.
aunties, especially. We love and
Shout
honor
out
you
to the
so much,
aunties. Nah, for
bruh.
real. Shout out to the aunties. Yeah. Heavily inspires the way that I think about in like a home space,
Yeah.
the way that they used to decorate their homes. And my aunties, I'm sure you had aunties like this as well. We couldn't even go in the living room
Oh
because the
yeah.
rug like needed to be vacuumed and like the lines had to stay on the rug. Like they was
Yes. Yes.
like we can't even step foot in there. It was really in a like museum, you know? Like it was
Literally. Or
first
that
it was
dining room that you never used
can never use it.
with the
Yeah,
little
it was
china
like
cabinet with the plates and the
exactly.
cups that you never use. It's a museum.
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
artifacts.
That's when we first learned about curation, right?
That's
Like,
so beautiful. That
yeah,
really is curation.
yeah. They were like, don't touch it. That was their art. That was the way they did it. And it was like,
Right.
do not go in there. Yeah. And all these
That's so
things, they kind of
awesome.
like pop up as you get older and you dive deeper into stuff and you become an adult and you're like, where did this come from? And like, I I get into this conversation a lot when people ask me what my like photo influences have been
Mm-hmm.
growing up, and I was like, shit, my parents, because I didn't really think of this as a career, and I
Right.
didn't really get hip to some of the like OG photographers and artists until like the past 2 years.
Nice.
Before that, it was pretty much just like what I saw in my photo album, which is probably why I
Yeah.
can't let it go.
Right. That's the interesting thing. And really, I guess like the beauty of the journey, because I feel
Mhm.
like people tell you you need to know all of the greats from the start. You need to study, you need to dive deep, but it really don't
Mhm.
matter when you find them. You're gonna find them. Like
Yeah,
across your journey,
at
you're
some
gonna
point in the
find them.
journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And it's so cool when you do because I realize how so much of like some of my favorite artists now, my work naturally fits into their like vibe in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm like, cool. And it's also, we all have the same sentiment of like the reasons why we document and the way that they explored and like played. How is this happening on the phone?
Girl, it's
That's
that new
annoying.
thing, they do.
Why? It's like this is
Yeah.
not even FaceTime. Whatever.
Bruh.
But yeah, the same way that they like thought of like preservation and just were asking questions and how that came about in their art. I think it's so cool. So yeah, it almost is like you found your like family. Sometimes
Yeah.
when you finally find the artist, you're like, oh wow, yeah, we're kind of like doing the same thing. Or it makes you think deeper about the work that you are doing because of all the work
Yeah.
that's been done before you. And then for me now, I'm like, how do I want to add to that? Like, what mark do I want to like leave? And how do I kind of take all these things and like expand on them? In the same way I thought of my mom's work, like, how do I take that and
Yeah.
be an improved designer
Yeah.
on their ideas? Yeah.
Do you have a legend you're really loving right now that you feel aligned with?
Um, I really feel aligned with Latoya Ruby Frazier. I
It sounds
do.
familiar.
Yeah. A lot of her work is, I want to say she grew up.
Oh,
Ooh,
she
do not quote
fly.
me. Michigan. Can you see where she's
Okay.
from?
Okay.
Is it
Let's go to
Michigan?
the about.
I feel like it was somewhere in the Midwest or East Coast.
We love our little Midwest queens. No, she from Pennsylvania.
Okay, Pennsylvania. Okay. So a lot of her work is it's sort of in a way to about two things. It's like it's about her life sort of like growing up in Pennsylvania, and there was just like a lot going on during that time, and she was the one that was documenting all of like some major
Mm,
crises that were happening in the community. um uh I want to say with um there was like a bunch of like homes that were getting
mm-hmm.
torn down. I think like maybe I said Michigan because it was sort of like what's happening in Flint, right? Like where there was poisonous houses built on poisonous land
Mm,
and just people just not getting taken care of, right? And she was like at that time documenting a lot of that was happening in her like neighborhood and what she was seeing. I remember these like helicopter shots that she got overhead of these if this like I don't know if it was like an oil plant. I don't know,
yeah.
but anyway,
I
I
feel like
like
you.
the way that she had that mix of like environmental like crisis that was happening in Pennsylvania, but also the
Yeah.
reflection that she saw with like her and her mother's relationship, the imagery that she took of her grandmother and her grandma's home. Um, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and like yeah, when I first saw her work, someone told me that the photograph of like me and my mom reminded them of that, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard of Latoya Ruby Frazier, and then I saw her work, and I was like,
Yeah.
yes,
She has a series called The Notion of Family that actually is kind
Ocean
of
Family.
reminding me of your work.
Yep.
And I think I'm seeing the ones you're talking about. And you also probably thought it was Flint because she does have a project covering Flint called Flint is
Oh,
Family
okay.
in
Yeah, I'm
2016.
like,
So that
there's
makes
something.
sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
But this is hard. Thank you
there.
so much. I was just curious as we were talking about it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
who do you see yourself
She's
inspired
she's
by?
amazing. Yeah, I wanted to. She was teaching at the Institute of Chicago.
Hey.
Um, not that long ago, and I was like honestly considering going to school there just so I can like learn under her or just have conversation with her. She's not there anymore, but yeah, I think that aside from the like portraits that I take in like family archive and this, I am very deeply invested in like the documentation of life and like the outside world
Yeah.
as well. And I think that just comes from me just like being so observant and also
Mm,
wanting to not just give context to two sides of it, right? Like one side of it being like my physical self and the people around me and like family, but also like the world we were living in at that time, how those sort of like coincide with each other in
Yeah.
an archival sense. Yeah.
Mm. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see what you do, girl. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to pivot a little bit to our next segment called
Let's do it.
The Gear Don't Matter. But okay, so I have two quick questions.
Okay.
The first one is, what's your favorite piece of equipment that you use? It does not have to be a camera.
Ooh. Favorite form of equipment that I use doesn't have to be a camera. Oh my God. Okay. Whatever. First thing that came to mind was like my eyes.
Come on. Yes.
I take snapshots, visual snapshots of the world daily, like
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I'm always looking at something. I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful photograph. Or like,
Me too. Yes.
sometimes I wish my camera could catch exactly what my eye does.
I swear, same. That's a word though. You got everything you need right here, baby.
The eye truly is it. Which is why, like, I mean, to what you said, like, equipment doesn't matter. It takes a long time to understand that too.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
think, a lot of photographers, I wanted this segment because a lot of photographers talk about how offensive the question of like, oh, what gear do you use? What
What
camera
camera
are
did
you
you shoot on?
using? Yeah, is really offensive because it is, because it's like we could have the same exact gear, camera setup and everything, and your shot can come out
It's
differently.
not going to be different. Yeah, it's
It's
going to be
just
different. Yeah.
right, it's not gonna be the same. But that doesn't mean we don't really love the gear that we use. And
Yeah.
also we spend a lot of time getting to know our gear. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there's some gear that I absolutely love and I never want to sell or give away. And so
Yeah.
I just am like, what gear do we really want to keep that inspires us, that keeps us,
Uh-huh.
even though that is not the main thing, because the main
Yeah.
thing is our actual site.
My favorite camera right now, and since I have
Mm-hmm.
gotten it, has been my Mamiya RZ67.
The baddest.
I love that big honky thing.
Me
I
too.
I love it. I use it as a point and shoot, literally. Like I'm
Oh
like
my
on the go,
God.
like with this camera. Like it is
Girl, you
everything to
strong.
me. I have
Ooh, yeah.
acquired some strength. I
Okay.
have. It's amazing. Oh my God, just I don't know. I like the way it sounds when you take the
Me
photograph.
too.
I like that you kind of have to slow down, but it forces me to just like think in so many ways to get it exactly, and I'm not a person too that will like take a photo that's a little this way because I'm thinking like in post whatever, I'll just like straighten it out. I'm trying to take it
Yeah.
exactly how I want to see it
Mm, come
every time.
on.
So it's like, it's amazing. When I first got that photo, that camera, I was walking around in downtown just taking pictures of like buildings. And when I got back the images, I was just like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's a
medium
really
format or
incredible
plus.
camera. Truly,
Yeah.
right. I love that was also the first medium format camera I used, and I was like, damn, you got me. Now I'm here. I love
Incredible.
medium format.
Incredible. Yeah. I collect a lot of cameras though. I have a
True.
lot.
Okay, second piece of question or
Yeah.
second question is,
Mm.
what is a piece of equipment you'd like to use but you haven't yet?
Ooh.
Maybe
Um,
potentially thinking about like a project you've been thinking about and you like, damn, I just need a
yeah. Okay. Maybe like two things. One, I've been learning lighting. I
Mhm.
think I really, really know how to use natural light, but structured lighting
Mhm.
for imagery is like such a world on its own. Control light, like that, kudos to the lighting techs, like, and the people who put
Truly,
scenes together because, whoa,
we love
I
a
mean,
light tech.
so emotive, changes everything. So lighting, I would say, equipment wise. And then two is I really, 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 really want to shoot 16 mil. Like,
Hey.
so bad. I got like a little taste of it
Mhm.
on like a video shoot, but I have a 16 mil camera because I'm crazy. And a friend was like selling theirs, and I was like, "Yep,
Right.
me.
I
Still
need it.
haven't used it. Yeah, but I'm just like, you kind of in those ways got to just do it. Just dive deep into it and have someone else roll it up for you and just shoot it and figure it out. But I for sure want to like learn more about shooting like 16 millimeter.
True. Hey, I gotta talk to you when we get off about some things then.
Okay.
Okay. Last but not least, this segment I like to call Shoot Your Shot. And I would love to leave this opportunity for you because the girls might be listening. Who is
Okay.
somebody or brand that you would love to work for?
Oh God. Uh, what a question.
Truly.
All right.
It could be an artist.
I'm just gonna say, yeah, why is the first person coming to my mind Missy Elliott? I love Missy.
Because yes, girl, what you
I love
mean?
Missy.
Yes. This is a Missy Elliott Stan podcast. Like
Girl,
anybody
but
come
so
on here, we love
it's Missy
Missy.
girl. But the reason I say that is like I just been thinking a lot about just like artists who I really truly I just like the way they work and I want
Yeah.
to photograph them because it means I get to talk to them.
Hello.
You know?
Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
meet Missy so bad.
I want to just have a conversation, truly. But I would say like, oh man, yeah, I just really want to tell stories. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that me and my current brain, time, and space, I don't know if there's like anything that I aspire right now aside from just being able to tell someone's like story or to
Yeah.
have a conversation or to um just like learn from people that are like better than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's any opportunity that I can take to like learn and be on set in so many ways, I want to be on movie sets, I want to be on video sets, I want to be on short film sets, I want to be on magazine sets. And I honestly like shamelessly in any type of way, you could hire me as a PA.
Period. Exactly.
Photo assistant. Like I don't have to be the main person or photographer. I just want to be there. I just want to feel the
Hello.
essence. I want to be in the room. I want to see how it's done. I'm like I just want to soak it all in. So I don't know. Whatever opportunity that presents, I'm here. I'm here.
Well, period.
And I'm available.
My
Anybody got the Missy
same.
plug?
Okay, who got the Missy plug? Because we all trying to get on set. Oh my God, Mckayla, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on my little baby photographer life check.
This is
as
great.
we close out, here's a little note. I'm gonna close out, but you don't have to leave. We can like have our little talk, so don't leave yet. But okay.
Yeah.
So as we close out, please let the people know where you would like to be found.
Cool. I would like to be found in real life. You can see me. Say hi.
IRL, babes.
IRL, yeah. But if you are on Instagram, my Instagram is KStacks. It is KAYSTACKSS. That's pretty much it. I don't really be on Twitter. TikTok is for fun. Please don't find me on there. Yeah. Just that my website is MckaylaChandler.com. I try to update that as much as I can, but I'm really an in real life girly. So
true. Well, beautiful. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.